Hello, hello, and bienvenidos, and thank you for joining us on Tech and Tequila, the podcast that we intersect the latest tech trends and cybersecurity issues, sometimes with your favorite tequila drink. Now, today I'm super pumped because we are going to start an all new series. We may have one break in the series because I unfortunately had a guest that got sick in our last series. It was all about cloud-based phone systems, contact center as a service, and CPaaS. But today we are going to go over some of the cyber events, cyber breaches that have happened in tail end of 2023, beginning of 2024. We're going to talk about one of the most recent breaches a little more in depth, and then we're going to talk about ways to prevent it. And last but not least, I'm going to cover one of my favorite things that I really enjoy doing with my clients at the tail end of this. So pull up today, grab your favorite tequila drink, and let's get started. So I'm sure that you're aware that there is an amazing rise in cyber attacks on both large and small companies. So we have seen high profile breaches hit sectors like healthcare, finance, retail, government, manufacturing, and the energy, just to name a few. So this landscape has evolved over the last couple of years. And to give you an idea of the economic impact, projections indicate that cybercrime could cost the global economy 10.5 trillion, that's trillion with a T, by 2025. This estimate shows that about the increase will be 15% every single year. And even large enterprises with substantial cybersecurity defenses aren't immune. So it's important for us to understand these breaches and to help fortify all businesses on every level, from your small, your medium, and of course to your enterprise. So let's go over some notable breaches that have happened in, let's say, the last couple months in the tail end of 2023. Of course, American Express had a breach in March. They alerted to this breach. Basically, what they said is one of our third parties, that is merchant processors, compromised data. This data included names, account numbers, and card details. And of course, they said that they advised all their customers to monitor their accounts closely. I would be remiss without speaking of the other large attack that happened, and that was with Change Healthcare. If you don't know what Change Healthcare is, it is a subsidiary under the United Healthcare Group. And it revealed that a nation state actor was involved in compromising 6 terabytes with a T of sensitive data, and alleged that they were requesting, and this is of course alleged, $22 million in ransom. May have been paid, may have been asked for. Nothing is confirmed at this point. Another one that happened is Fujitsu. Was found that malware was on their network, and this is more in the may have exposed sensitive company information. The company, of course, is investigating the breach and has disconnected all systems associated with it. Another one, man, March was a popular month, was the International Monetary Fund. The IMF experienced a cyber incident in February compromising 11 email accounts. They responded by, of course, working with cybersecurity experts. This one is got to be one of my favorites, and I say favorites not in the unkind way, but because it's something that a lot of us use, and that is Roku. Roku actually had a cyber attack and affected about 15,000 users, and it was likely due to reused passwords across multiple platforms. Roku, of course, advised their users to reset their passwords to prevent any other unauthorized access. Another such breach was the U-Haul breach that had 67,000 customers of data breached. This was in December, actually, and it gave them access to names, dates of birth, and driver's license, but no financial data is what they're saying. So there was a massive breach in January of 2024, which about 26 billion records from various sources. Another breach I'm sure you've heard of was 23andMe. This breach compromised 6.9 million users' data. Credential stuffing attacks initially accessed 14,000 accounts, which escalated via the DNA relatives they were associated. Users, of course, were advised to reset passwords and enable multi-factor authentication. Do you see a theme here? Because I'm seeing a theme. Of course, Samsung was also affected. This was a breach due to a third-party app that exposed customers' information. And they said that this breach, they are going to be evaluating and also highlighting any security challenges for the next 2 years. So they will be looking into it. Our favorite place to visit, Walmart, they had a cyber attack that compromised protected health information of over 85,000 people. Of course, Walmart has had breaches in the past, and it shows an underlying need for improved and cure. Of course, another such breach was Walmart. A cyber attack compromised the protected health information of over 85,000 people. Now, this retailer has had a history of breaches, and this gives an underlying need for them to improve their cybersecurity measures. Then, of course, we have the MGM Grand, which I'm sure you have all heard of, and that was done through social engineering. But what is the point of going over all this? So, of course, the big thing is it underscores the importance of having a comprehensive cybersecurity strategy, regular security checks, employee training, and third-party risk management. So, these are all things to think about as we look at these breaches. These, of course, are just a few. I could name plenty more if it comes down to it. But I wanted to talk about one of the trending topics right now. And that is, of course, a breach that I did not discuss just a little while ago, and that is Ticketmaster. And that's right, I said Ticketmaster. So if you needed another reason to not be so fond of them, here you have it. So here is the scoop about Ticketmaster. So Live Nation Entertainment, the parent company at Ticketmaster, confirmed it had a massive breach of their database. This breach has led to the theft of they said an unknown amount of customer data. Now, why do we have this information? Ticketmaster slash Live Nation actually came in late Friday, and they went ahead and notified the Security and Exchange Commission through a filing. It follows days of rumors sparked by alleged cybercrime groups' bold claim. And what is that bold claim, you may ask? Well, a particular group that is claiming that they did it says that they stole a staggering 560 million, that's million with an M, customers' information. To put that in perspective, that's twice the population of the United States and about 7% of the global population. Whether these claims are entirely accurate or an exaggeration remains to be seen. But so far, this would be one of the largest that we've had. Now, according to their filing, they detected unauthorized activity on or about May 20th. And a week later, they were contacted by someone threatening to sell this user information on the dark web. Of course, Live Nation has stated that they are working to mitigate the risk to their users and the company, and they're, of course, cooperating with law enforcement. They have also notified appropriate regulatory authorities and all affected users. Now, why are we going over this? So this data that happened with Ticketmaster was housed on another company's cloud database. And I'm not going to say what has come out because there's kind of a back and forth about however that happened. However, they have not specified the exact number of customers affected, and they're still not giving out full information saying, here's the information that was compromised. Despite having numerous attempts to get this information, they have not said it. The group claiming has said, yes, we have names, addresses, phone numbers, partial credit card details, and includes information that was tickets purchased. Now, obviously, this has been kind of on the tail end of Ticketmaster having some more issues over, the last several months, and we'll have to wait to see how this unfolds. But let's talk about this for a minute and let's look at what this means. So, we covered what happened. Now, the reason that this is interesting, obviously, or, trending news, worthwhile to talk about, is that potentially up to 560 million customers were affected. That's a massive number of people. We've already said twice the population of the United States, and it's huge. So, what makes this particular breach interesting isn't just the scale, it's the spotlight it puts on company policies and employee behavior. And you say, why is that? And that is because of this. So, let's kind of go over a couple of things. So, I want you to think for a second. You as a company allocate email addresses to your employees. Once you allocate these email addresses, you give them the guidelines of acceptable use, or we're hoping you give them the guidelines of acceptable use policies for this email. But let's just say this employee skips reading those guidelines. I know no one has ever agreed to turn T's and C's without reading them religiously, but let's just say they do. The employee uses their work email to register for a Ticketmaster lottery. Ticketmaster suffers a breach, and now the rest is history. So, what does that mean? The rest is history. This is a textbook example of how critical it is to enforce and educate employees on company policies. And that's where it comes the importance of looking into what cyber solutions there are and ways to avoid such pitfalls. So, first, we have email threat alerts, and there's several different solutions you can use. I could sit here and name three or four off the top, but these would be alerts that would flag any breaches and any acceptable use policy violations. The second would be training. I cannot say this enough, but what is between the floor and the computer, or the floor and your device, that is your employees. And so it is so important to train your employees, train them for things to look at, include modules on data protection, acceptable use, safe web browsing, and more. And finally, you want to make sure that you have some Policy Pro module that ties the IT security policies together with training, ensuring your employees actually understand and follow the guidelines. There's some great things. Know Before is one of them I'm thinking of, and for the life of me, I can't think of the other, where it will test to see, are they doing what they're supposed to be doing? And if, let's say, someone does not pass that test, it will give them a particular module to look at. And that is what is so important. So, these are a couple of things to think about with all these breaches floating around in your head. I hope that it gives you some ideas of ways to obviously prevent them in your business, things to look at. And of course, like always, I always say, if it's been a while since you've had a cybersecurity review or reviewed your policies or checked in case of a breach what to do, there's no time like the present to make that happen. Now I'm going to flip the script and go over one of the things that I absolutely love. And that is, I was working with a client recently, and just, I say this makes my heart pitter patter, but it really, I enjoyed this aspect of what we do over at Shelby Tech. And I think it's one of the things that is the greatest asset, especially if you're starting a new business. And this is kind of a quasi starting a new business, but I have a particular client that is in the process of purchasing a business. And to make a very, well, I won't say long story short, but basically the client is taking over a business that has existed for approximately, let's say, 30 to 40 years. And went through everything and was like, oh my goodness, they don't have a website. They are doing everything basically with pen and paper and Excel sheets. They have no CRM. They don't have inventory management. In essence, what she said is they're going to take it way back in the day. And why I say I love this so much is because I love working with people for their digital transformations. And, of course, we started with the basics, which is And for me, these are the basics. We're looking at their connectivity. We're looking at what phone system they're using. We are also looking at how they can have a cloud-based phone system integrate with the CRMs that they're looking at. And we're looking at their CRMs. We're also looking at their website and domain that they're in the process of purchasing, making sure that all of this works together. And why is it so important that it works together? That is because it improves the customer experience. So, and I've gone over the statistics before, but it can be as simple as having a chat bot or having frequently asked questions or an easy way for your customers connect with you, as well as understanding the difference that how your customers want to interact with you. Some customers want to pick up the phone and they want to call you. So you want to make that easy as possible. The other thing is some customers are going to want to receive text messages. They're going to want to be able to message back and forth. So you want to make that all possible. The reason I bring this up is because that is something that we actually specialize in. And that is basically taking people through the whole nuts and bolts of their digital transformation, looking at their tech stack, making a plan and getting it updated. And of course, with the information that we just covered, I would be remiss if I did not go the importance of we're also obviously looking at their cybersecurity and what they're doing. And, when is the last time that you patched and updated your firewall? That's all to say, if you haven't looked at these things or you're thinking about it, and this particular client is a smaller business that they're taking over, there's no better time than the present to look at it. I hope this gave you some great information. I know this was short and sweet, and we covered a bunch of tech in the news, things that have recently happened. But as always, make sure that you subscribe. We come out weekly with a new episode, and thank you for joining us today.